component is parametrically created. This means that you can change parts at any time. We are now going to move into the building. To do so, we can set a clip function so that we can look directly into the 3D model. And I now move towards the door. I activate the door by clicking on it, and I have access to all of the parametric properties of this component. For example, the size of the frame can be adjusted. I can also adjust all of the textures and colours, in this case by adding a texture to a door leaf. I also have the option to modify the entire geometry. A major advantage of this parametric system is that I can now transfer these properties to the other doors. Let's take the window as an example. I click on it to open it and have full access to all of its parameters. The parameter values are structured in such a way that the individual parts can be rapidly and simply configured. In this example, the windowsill has been configured so that its geometry is now correctly displayed. In the same component, the entire glazing can now be accessed. Within the editor, we enter a split and immediately the result is displayed. We will now make some changes to the lintel, for example, so that it no longer appears on the facade. Here I have set back the blind casing. All these properties are controlled by parameters and can, of course, also be transferred later on. Let's take a look now at the railing. The railing can be accessed and its parameters modified. Every individual part is adjustable and there are more options available than can be shown here. Here, for example, a room division using panels is selected. The size of this division can, in turn, be configured. I now move into the facade, where we see the entire representation of the 3D model. Here too, the parts can be clicked on again. We are now able, for example, to apply our window design to all other windows with the same dimensions. I now select the sliding window here, insert a divide, and perhaps also set back the blind casing. To do so, we can access the parameters at any time, and the result is immediately displayed. I can make such changes in the model or in the facade as required. Within the section, there are now certain corrections that need to be made. Near the loggia, the thermal insulation must be extended. Using the handles, I simply drag the insulation in the section to a point further down. The result is immediately visible, both in the model and, of course, in other sections and in the facades. The parameter settings are very wide-ranging. Slabs can be inclined, or the edging strips of a subfloor modified. Each individual layer can be modified. Here, for example, I correct the subfloor, the concrete, and then the entire timber construction on top, i.e. the parquet flooring, also using handles. These detailed parameter settings enable 3D planning of your building as far as the work drawing stage, and for the building to be represented in plans accordingly. Naturally, the floor plan is also an important element. For example, we now see the windows, although that is rather difficult here without the rabbet. I will now insert a rabbet and then configure the relevant dimensions of the frame. Immediately, this geometry is correctly displayed based on the parameters. I insert a window and can then transfer this information to all of the other windows. We can take selective values here and apply them to the selection, which in turn satisfies certain requirements. This is a very efficient way of working. It will enable you to plan more quickly and efficiently than ever before.